Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video. We just hit 45.1k subscribers. Let's try to get to 50k by election day. Please like this video down below and subscribe to the channel. But before we get started, I have to tell you guys about my friends over at My Patriot Supply. Are you ready for what the future brings? Every day the news headlines get worse and worse. Civil unrest, the second wave of COVID-19, economic collapse, massive suffering, not to mention what Mother Nature will do, hurricanes, earthquakes, floods, wildfires, it's all there. The question is, will you be prepared? If you don't already have an adequate supply of long-term emergency food, it's like driving around without wearing your seatbelt, thinking you'll have time to put it on right before an accident. I urge you to build your emergency food supply now because there is no time to waste. And as always, my highest recommendation goes to the country I personally trust and use, and you can too. It's My Patriot Supply, the go-to experts in emergency preparedness. Their mission is your survival, and right now, they're knocking off $100 of their ample 4-week supply of delicious, nutritious food that's specially packaged to last up to 25 years, so make sure you don't pass this up. I believe everyone has a personal responsibility to have at least 4 weeks worth of emergency food on hand at all times, and you can order yours within a matter of minutes. Just go to preparewithredeagle.com right now. That is preparewithredeagle.com. And today we have to talk about the RNC. And it's been 4 days. I didn't do any videos after like day 1, day 2, day 3, and day 4. There were a lot of speeches there. I just like to take some time to talk about the week before, even though I did a video on the DNC. The DNC was just bad. It was just dull. And I'm not just trying to say that because I disagree with what was said. It was just dull. They were just recording it from their bedrooms, putting piss-poor speeches, no substance, no patriotism, no nothing. It was the political version of the YouTube Rewind of 2018. Ultimate cringe. And this is the first time in history, at least that I can remember, where there's no convention bump. You see a convention drop. In the battlegrounds, Biden dropped by 1.3% in his lead. Nationwide, he dropped by 0.5% this week, and historical precedence was broken. And Biden's speech was not exactly terrible for Biden. It sucked, yeah, but it was probably the best speech for Biden and one of the better speeches at the convention. But that's what happens when you set an absolutely low bar for him. Yeah, he had no gaffes, but he also rehearsed it for 4 consecutive weeks in his basement, and it failed. It just failed. Again, Biden, we set a very low bar for him, and we congratulate him on making a speech like that. This is the guy that is supposed to go out there and stand up for America on the world stage, to stand up to China? Absolutely not. They're going to roll over him, and they're going to roll over us. But I'm not really surprised. The Democrats spent their entire convention trashing America as a failed system, trashing America as an inherently bad and evil nation of colonizers. That's what they said at the convention. How can these people lead a country that they despise? They weren't just criticizing and providing patriotic enthusiasm of how we can make America better. They were sitting there and just trashing America. There was just no patriotism, no enthusiasm for this country. And the RNC was different because the RNC uplifted and unified us as a nation. They talked about America's flaws, yes, but they also talked about America's feats. And that's what was important. It was patriotic. And there was actually an organized format for the RNC. You didn't have that with the DNC. And they highlighted heroes and everyday people. They put forward the message. It was a happy convention. Democrats always want to say if Trump gives a good speech, they say in the media, dark and divisive. No, their convention was the one that was dull, dark and divisive, and cringe. The RNC was a unifying convention. That's the way it was. They highlighted heroes, they highlighted everyday folks, and they appealed effectively to not just the working class, but also people in the suburbs. They talked in a much more presidential tone. Donald Trump's speech was, a presidential tone, and I'm going to talk about Trump's speech in a minute, but there were many other good speeches. I thought that there were a plethora of phenomenal speeches that really stood out. Vernon Jones, who was a Democrat, actually still a Democrat representative in the state of Georgia, endorsed Trump. He gave a good speech. Andrew Pollock, who was one of the fathers of the Parkland victim. Maximo Alvarez, who had to endure real tyranny under Castro's Cuba. Nick Sandmann, who, again, was slandered abysmally by the media, and he kind of got him back at the end, not just by suing them, obviously, but by putting on that hat and giving a smirk. Man, CNN must have been very, very upset when that happened. Abby Johnson gave a good speech about Planned Parenthood, but it was good in a way that it simultaneously could appeal to people who are moderately pro-choice and women in the suburbs. That's what you need for electoral purposes. And they kind of, that's the kind of speech that could change some people's minds about Planned Parenthood. It wasn't done in some over-religious or over-patronizing way. It was done very effectively. Daniel Cameron gave a good speech. He is a future star of the Republican Party. He very well could take Mitch's seat in 2026. Melania gave a phenomenal speech, a very unifying speech, and if it was any other first lady, they would still be talking about it all across the major networks, just like they did for Michelle Obama's speech. Her speech was very, very good, very unifying, and phenomenal that the first lady would do this. And again, if she was the first lady for any other president, she would be praised consistently throughout the media, throughout fashion publications, etc. But because she's a Trump, nope, the media doesn't like that. They don't go with it. Kirsty Noem, Burgess Owens also gave notable speeches. Madison Cawthorn, I thought, did great. Him talking about his resilient story and standing at the end, standing up for America. Literally, even though he's in a wheelchair, he still stood up for America. That's important. You have so many people that can stand that don't stand up for America today, and it kind of shows. Richard Grenell gave a good speech talking about nationalism. Mike Pence did a very, very fine job the night before Trump. He gave a speech that was probably double the length of Joe Biden's speech, honestly, and he hit on all cylinders. It prepped him up well to go out there and take on Kamala Harris come October. Jeff Van Drew, another Democrat who is, going to vote for Trump and has left the Democrat Party, also made a compelling case. And again, Trump's speech, we get to Trump's speech, as I was going to say, but it wasn't the highest energy. His 2016 speech was arguably one of the best speeches in modern history. Very consequential, especially for middle America. This speech was more subdued. It had much lower energy, although it was in a more intimate setting, so you can't always blame him for that. He was high energy today in New Hampshire, which is a state he's going after, by the way. But Trump blew Biden's speech out of the water, and he hit Biden. He discussed the last 4 years. He had a lot of witty remarks here and there, one of them being, how can the Democrats lead a country that they so willingly despise? And that's a very important question that needs to be asked. How exactly is Biden going to win this year when Biden is the poster boy that China wants in the White House? Donald Trump has talked tough on China. Biden is just cowering down to China. We're trying to be tough on China after what they've done to us. Democrats would like to blame America. They'll even say European virus instead of Chinese virus. That's how much in bed they are with China. But Trump, no, he goes out there and he says the Chinese virus because that's exactly what it is. You can't call it anything else. That's exactly the way it goes. And it was a good speech. And then at the end, you had the fireworks and you had the opera. That symbolized America. Where was the patriotic imagery at the DNC? It was non-existent. Where was the substance and even policy at the DNC? Non-existent. The RNC didn't just touch on how bad Biden was, just like the DNC was orange mad bad for 8 hours straight. Yes, they did hit Biden where it hurt occasionally, which is what you're supposed to do. However, it was more about uplifting Trump, uplifting America to begin with. This is exactly what our country has come down to. You look at the people, the speakers that left the RNC in Washington, D.C., and they absolutely got terrorized by Antifa violent thugs in the street. And this is what's so symbolic. You have one side, these are the people that love America, that stand up for America and everybody in it. Then you have the other side, which represents the violent Antifa thugs and Marxist BLM rioters. That's the other side, and they're out there terrorizing Rand Paul, terrorizing Vernon Jones. They say Black Lives Matter, but when it comes to Vernon Jones, no, he doesn't matter. They try to silence him and gang up on him, and if security wasn't there, things would have gotten real ugly. So that's the way it goes. That's what the choice is this November. Make no mistake. And you want to talk about what's happening? Let's look at the betting odds. First, I will have to say Democrats did win the ratings in the TV for the DNC. They had more viewers, but Republicans at the RNC did do better in streaming. They're saying that the streaming results were more than enough to put Republicans over the top. It wasn't by that much, But still, like I said, it's a virtual convention. Is a potential bump coming? I don't know. Probably there will be a bump after the RNC because that's the way the trajectory of the race is going in. It's not to say it's entirely from the RNC, but there probably will be a 1 to 2% bump in the coming weeks. And we can look at the betting odds here because we talked about the betting odds going down after the DNC. For Biden, the DNC started, but Trump was down 17. It ended. Trump was down 12. The Republicans are continuing to grow ever since, before the Kamala Harris pick. Donald Trump was at 36. Biden was at 61. Now Donald Trump's nearing 47. Biden's down to 53. If you look at the predicted map, Trump is on the very narrow edge of flipping Florida, Arizona, and Wisconsin, partially due to the riots there. And if those 3 states flip, Donald Trump will be president. I will discuss some of the recent polling out of Michigan in tomorrow's video because very important developments in the most accurate poll in the state for both 2016 and 2018. So overall, it was a good convention, reviving the American spirit. That was the focus, and Trump needs to stay on message, and if he does, Donald Trump very may well be reelected president of the United States of America. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Please like this video down below, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media, become a member, donate to the Patreon or subscribe, star links in description. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.